Hello there. Good afternoon, everyone. We're here back with a new episode and a new guest for you guys to know more about and learn from. So, everyone, I want you to greet Xian here. Hello.
Hello guys.
Awesome. So it's really cool that we have all sorts of content creators, and even now we have an esports champion to share their knowledge and skills with us here. So yeah, let's go. Yeah, we have Jin in the chat here. Let's go. All right. So we also have a poll on our live stream. So if you wanna participate, just answer the poll over here. So we have a poll right now. It says, "Do you want to be a pro gamer?" So some of the answers, some people already answered, "Yes, it's my dream." Some said, "No, but I make gaming content." Some said, "No, but I love watching esports," and some say, "No, but I just love games." All right. So make sure you guys participate in that one. And if you have any questions for Sian later for the live Q&A portion, we would love to receive your questions. So you can click the Q&A button for that in the live chat. So yeah, let's begin. Today I'll be your host, Magnolia Pixie Danny. I'm a YouTuber, songwriter, cosplayer, and streamer. But today I'll be your host so that we can get to know Sian more. So let's begin. Woot woot. Anya, Nicola, and Frankie Angelou, welcome also to the stream. So let's get right into it. Sian, how did you first get into esports and what motivated you to pursue a professional gaming career?
I think when I first get into esports was when I was about, I would say 18 years old. I would say that I started gaming at 6 years old, right? So there's no esports wasn't really popular. So I didn't really thought of
Yeah.
like I would be pursuing esports as a career. And I feel like for people of my era right now who actually gone into professional gaming, when they started gaming, it wasn't really the career to begin with. So they just started because out of passion. So we just did what we like, and eventually the opportunity came by, and we happened to be good at it, and that's how we actually pursue it as a career.
Yeah, that's so cool. You're right though. Like a couple of years ago or decades ago, it wasn't really a thing yet. Like it was very controversial to make gaming your career. But then as time changed, like it's so cool because there are actually people who can do this for a living and it's really inspiring. So yeah, we want to ask you about that more. So I want to ask you something also related to your journey. So, can you tell us about your journey with Gank and how it helped you specifically as a pro player?
So Gang has been a very useful platform for me. They are actually my sponsor. And what Gang really does is I'm allowed to advertise my lessons through their website. When I'm streaming during Twitch or anything to get through donations as well. And so basically I post my services as like when I help people watch replay for a fees, as well as giving people lessons as a mentor. So this is how actually Gang helped me in terms of revenue to let me, proceed on, as more like a mentor instead of just being a professional gamer. Since I have been in this career for about 10 plus years now, I also provide services, to guide younger players along and people who wanted to learn, they can just sign up through Gang, and that's how they can actually have access, to have a lesson or one-on-one, to just improve on their games.
Yeah, that's a really good point because okay, you mentioned that you've been here around for almost 10 plus years. That's such a long time. Like, so much has happened in 10 years, and it's really good that you're able to give back to the community, especially the next generation. You get to share your knowledge, your skills, and your expertise on something that a lot of people are so passionate about nowadays. So, yeah, what about telling us about your performance at Gank Masters? How did it go?
I I actually won almost all the gang master that I joined, so I was kind of happy with it. Most of the players that join are from the regions around here, and I have a pretty good track record on it. I joined, I think, four of it, and I won it won it. So I'm very happy with it, with how it built up my confidence, following up to Capcom Cup next month. So I really, really enjoy the tournament series because you not only have good prize money, it also let me improve my performance as a competitor.
Wow, you have really good luck and you're really skilled and really disciplined regarding this, aren't you? So I wanted to ask another question about that. So you mentioned that you've basically won almost all of them, right? Or all of them. That's so cool. So I want to ask you, how do you handle that pressure of always competing, especially at that high level and with the expectations and all? Do you have like strategies to stay focused during these intense matches?
I think for now, like my strategy changes from time to time because I've competed, in more than at least a few hundred tournaments, right? So from the beginning, like we just keep trying out different method. Like some believe, not eating any food. Some believe in exercising to keep your mental focus. Some believe in drinking a lot of water between matches. So I tried all the methods, by now, and for me, what really works best for me is to do things outside of my comfort zone before the tournament, like taking a cold shower, which I usually don't. So when I force my body to go into a comfort zone that is does not belong to what I usually do, on the day itself, I tend to do better. 'Cause I'm able to adapt, to situations that are not on my comfort zone. So that works best for me. But I think it really go from player to player, depending on how it works for them.
That's a really good perspective you shared, like getting out of your comfort zone. And it's so interesting that you shared one of the tips or tricks other people do is that they don't eat. Isn't that
Yeah,
the opposite of what you should be doing? But that's interesting to find out. Though, what's very interesting is that you mentioned something that could actually be applicable to not only esports players or gamers, like getting out of your comfort zone so that you can perform better. That's so mind blowing, guys. I hope you're learning a lot in this live stream because anything here actually you can learn from experts, pros, or champions. These are life lessons and you can apply them in whatever you want to pursue. So, yeah, you guys get out of your comfort zone. Cool, cool. So, what about your teammates, right? Right? Because, like, esports involves teamwork. So, can you discuss the importance of like communication and collaboration with your team and how you can contribute to a positive team dynamic?
I think for me, I'm a little lucky because I play a one versus one game. So Street Fighter is basically, I don't have the luxury to blame my teammate when I lose,
All right.
because it's a single player game. But I do have a great team behind me, supporting me through anything, like I am going through. Especially, I feel like that is very important because like when you're playing as a pro gamer, the mentally is really your mental state is really important. So I'm very glad that all my sponsors, Gaming Gladiator, Gang, Civil Lab has been like always doing through a lot of support for me, so I can just focus mainly on the game without worrying about anything else.
All right. So, yeah, I do want to talk about Street Fighter more. Apart from the game itself, like, yes, it is a single player game or a 1v1 game, but at the same time, like these pro players, they actually have a team behind them, and it's so important. People behind the scenes, like this entire team will be able to create the champion as a whole. So that's so cool, and especially since you give importance to them as well. Regarding Street Fighter, can you tell us more about your main and why? Why is that your main in the first place?
So I actually main DJ, in Street Fighter 6. It was some charged character. It was usually not my kind of style to go into a character like this. It's also a very top tier character, and it was my first time like playing something, of one of the top character because I'm not really known for that style. But in Street Fighter 6, because it just came out last year during June, I find that like it's a new game and there are very little characters at the moment, only 18 characters. So I decided to take a different approach to see how well I can fare. You know, it's basically just trying something new and see how far I can bring myself and my limit to.
That's so interesting. Once again, you took the risk and you went out of your comfort zone by trying this new character. That's so interesting. So, given that you took a risk and you're still a champion, you still win the games. That's so interesting. So, I guess you really do have to take risks and get out of your comfort zone to be worthy of being a champion. All right. Cool. All right. So, what about physical health? We talked about not eating a while ago and showering, cold showers. Like, how can you actually prioritize your physical health? Because I know esports careers can be draining or physically demanding. Like, you're always on your PC. Like, even for content creators or like streamers, they're always on their PC. It can be draining to have screen time that long. So, how do you prioritize your physical health and what steps do you take to prevent burnout?
I think all pro gamers, including me, go through burnout, during different state of our career. And for me, yes, I went through a lot of different. But for physical health wise, I do actually I used to try working out before tournaments, during the state when I'm about to go into a tournament, just because like I have heard a lot about how it helps to focus better and stuff. But personally, for me, it doesn't really help me a lot, but I basically do physical health exercises just to keep in shape, but it actually didn't really help as much for my focus. But I still do it just to look good, because I'm a little vain, so that's how I view, that's why I feel like it's different for everybody on how it helps their mindset. For some people, it's getting out of my comfort zone. That's for me. For some people, it's not eating. For some people, it's exercising. So they have to pick their poison and see what fits them. And try and error. I think that's how I would say.
That's really that's a really good point, and I appreciate your self-awareness and honesty that you are a person who is in the limelight, but you have the courage to say that you can be a little vain sometimes, and it's not wrong because you have to like maintain a certain image or personality, especially since a lot of people look up to you. So that's really cool. And yeah, exactly. Jen here in the chat says gamers should also have a healthy lifestyle, and it really depends on your poison. Pick your poison, what works for you, because not everyone is built the same, right? Okay, what else? What about your esports fan base? Because I know that the esports community is rapidly growing, like the fans and everything. So, how do you engage with your fans, and what role do you believe esports professionals play in building and maintaining the community?
Basically, I engage, and interact with my fans through streams. I stream at Douyi, a Chinese platform, and also stream at Twitch for my English platform. So most of the time, besides social media, I use Twitter, the most, and then Instagram, just to, replies to people who any questions and stuff. And outside of that, I interact with them through streams where I'm playing games, just to keep myself, and my presence, because, during COVID times, right, tournaments kind of reduced generally due to, the situation. So I believe that being a pro gamer is very important to make your presence to be known. So I do a lot of streams and I'm very actively engaged in social media just to make sure that my fans will get to interact with me whenever they have questions, be it about a game or their mental state or whatever.
I like that you mentioned the mental state too. Like, it is important to communicate and be present with your fan base That's so cool. But at the same time, you acknowledge that you can be a role model, especially for their mental health. So I really appreciate that you're using your platform, your presence, so that you can inspire other people. That's so cool. Okay. Oh, we have a chat over here. I know a lot of gamers play and stay up all night, but I think there are some who does have a healthy lifestyle, and I feel like it is not an easy thing to do. Oh, would you agree with that? It's not an easy thing, isn't it?
I think every pro gamer tend to stay up to the morning. It just depends on when they do it. Like I don't do it before tournament times, but I do believe that as a gamer or a pro gamer, you do have to stay in the morning at times because like the opponent you want to practice against, whatever time he's awake, you have to actually kind of cater to his time as well. When you're trying to practice, like I feel like during the 9 to 6 hours where people actually was working, it's the time that I always like to sleep because I don't have a opponent to practice as they're actually working like a normal adult, right? Or schooling or something. So during those times where people believe in being healthy, being aware at that moment doesn't help me because I can't get strong opponents to play against, right? So I will pick when I sleep, just according to when I can get the best practice.
Right. So it is kind of like a night schedule, which is very flexible because it really depends on your opponent, etc. So that's a really good point to take note of. Okay, what about other things with the community? I think you mentioned this already earlier about your personal coaching and other stuff. Can you tell us more about your personal coaching sessions and other listings on Gank? Because I feel like the community would really value these.
So basically, what I posted on the gang, you can check out my from the gang website with the CNMSG is my name there. So I posted lessons, on how to get better at Street Fighter 6. I also posted lessons on like viewing replays, and also I also posted a personal channel where they can just ask me questions where I will answer directly to whatever they have concerns to the game for a fee. So it's basically I wanted to help people who wanted to really get better and want to get help from a professional, I guess, so that they don't keep getting at the same circle, because some questions maybe it may take 1 hour for them to figure out. It's just 1 minute for me, right? So by providing that, I do believe that people who wants to get better but is stuck at a certain stage, they can just move past through it and know where to go. They won't go down to the wrong road, which I felt that in my life I've gone through a lot of wrong path, and I hope to provide such services for people who believe in me or is a fan of me and want to engage to help, through it. So they can just sign up through Gang and get to know me better, I guess.
That's really good. I mean, you already have streams and you always interact with your fans. You give them advice there. But to have one on one sessions for coaching, that's so crucial. And I think if you really want to take this seriously, you have to, you really have to do it that at one point. Right. So we have a few
Depends on how serious
questions.
they want.
Yeah, exactly. Depending on how serious. So, we have a few questions here in the live chat. So, can you answer some of them? We have one here. Do you have a special routine of sorts right before the competition itself? Like, how do you prepare and calm your nerves if working out doesn't work for you? What do you do exactly?
For fighting games, I generally believe the 1 to 2 weeks before the tournament is the most crucial part, because that's where you want to cultivate your muscle memory for the tournament itself. Like what kind of muscle memory you want to be bringing into the tournament, and you adapt from the certain strategy and muscle memory from there. So that's what I really focus at. The time just before the tournament, I do very long hours of practice, depending and studying of their CFN, like studying their replays and stuff. So that's what I would say is the most important, rather than like you try to be focusing on like the last 2 to 3 months and get yourself burnt out, midway before the tournament even starts. Like I do believe that the the uh, the nearer it is to the tournament, the more important the practice is.
Very important. I hope you take notes, guys. We have another question here. Will you consider selling recorded video guides on Gank also? Like a course maybe instead of like your sessions where you do video calls, is that correct? Are you planning to do
Yes,
recorded ones?
I actually did think about that, but I personally has a strong belief that every player who wants to get better, they have a different issues, So I don't believe a recorded guide could really help everybody, and like it could actually bring them to the wrong direction and making them even more confused. So I personally would not like try to put out something like this. Like I felt like it's too general. It's not really trying to help the players, but more like helping myself, you know. So I would say that I will put more on like one-on-one lessons, because I think in order to help someone to improve, you really need to know and understand the person first before you can help me, instead of just a general guide.
That's a really good point. It has to be very personalized because probably everyone has their own flaws or difficulties in the video game or their play style. So that's really important. Good point. Okay, so what about from Jin? I'm curious, do you memorize the combos or it really is muscle memory already at this point?
I think it's just muscle memory at this point. Like it takes time to master the combos, but I think after you get to the mid level, like it shouldn't be a problem for most players.
Yeah. I was imagining it because if well, to my fellow gamers here in the chat, um the thing is when you're a gamer, like I don't think you consciously think or talk to yourself, I'm gonna press XYZ blah 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 blah. No, I think it just comes naturally, especially if, well, it depends on what you use. If you're a PC player, then you memorize your keyboard, or if you're a controller console person, then you would be on your controller. But it really depends, and yeah, muscle memory plays a big part in professional gaming. I could also say the same thing for even music, for people who play instruments. I don't think you'd be able to say out loud na I'm pressing the E string, the A string, blah 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 on fret blah blah blah. Nobody says that. You just
Yeah,
do it, right? So that's really
you practice until you get so familiar
yeah.
with it, and I think that's the basics of it at least.
Really good point. Okay, what about from Bea? If you could be any character from Street Fighter, who would you be and why?
I guess I'll maybe try to be Ken, because Ken is rich and handsome, So yeah, I don't see any reason why not.
Very practical. We need to be rich, guys. Okay, we have another question over here from Saint Cola. How does Xian adapt to a new game?
I think for new games in general, I don't need a lot of adaptation, because I play different kind of fighting game and I actually compete in them as well. So I believe all the different games has gave me some experience and I can bring over. There's always a similar mechanics or experience that I can use. It's just like PC games, like you play Mobile Legend and Dota, you can just like carry over a certain set of skills. So for me, at this point of my life, I feel like the experience is what I use to bring over to new games, and I can get a lot better at it faster than people, just using experience rather than like trying to find out a trick to it.
Experience, really good point. I think that works hand in hand with muscle memory because even if like a different game has totally different mechanics, the fact that you already have built some sort of muscle memory in you, and I think gamers, if you're a real, if you're a gamer and if you like regularly play games, you have this gaming sense already. It just comes natural to you, even if it's your first time playing this game. Like it just comes natural to you now. Oh, that's how it works. Okay, then I'll do it this way. I'll learn it my way. So something like that. Very interesting. Okay, we have another question. Which Street Fighter character would you take on a fight with IRL? Would you? Hmm.
I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, that's gonna be a difficult one.
But if you had to choose, who would you fight?
Everyone is good. I may choose Sagat or something. At least I can. Yeah, it looks kind of cool.
Okay, good point. Good point. Yeah, all of them could beat up any human being, you know. So I think that was a hard question, Angel. Okay, what about, have you ever thought of trying a different fighting game? Another interesting one.
I think I've been playing a lot of different fighting games like Grand Blue, and I used to play King of Fighters and Marvel as well, even compete in them, and Guilty Gear as well, So I felt like I kind of move on from playing a lot of fighting games into like only one fighting game, Street Fighter 6, just because I want to focus greatly, has not only because it's my career, because there's a lot of prize money now in Street Fighter 6. I felt like the effort will be worth it, no matter what the results will turn out. Like, I feel like focusing on one right now will be the way.
Right, that's a good point. Yeah, it'll be worth it for sure. I do have a question though. Like, have you ever thought of competing in non-fighting games, like other genres of esports?
I actually competed in Shadowverse a few years back. It was a card game. I almost qualified for the 1 million finals. I got second and third place. But that was the only time that I actually dabble in card games. I tried for a year because they announced a 1 million prize pool for Shadowverse. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna get back to that. It's very time consuming, I feel, for card games. So I would think about that. Like, if I want to, I felt like it would take a lot of focus off what I'm doing right now, and I may not have time to, juggle like two games, in this era right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think even if you stick with what you're good at right now, it'll take you to really high places. So we have another question relating to this. What do you see yourself doing the next 5 to 10 years?
I felt like I'm still at a spot where I'm able to compete, pretty well. And streaming, I feel like for the next 5 years I don't see myself doing anything else like this. I'm very interested in doing commentary and stuff, because I like to bring knowledge, and bring things, share my experience with people. But I felt like I'm still not at a stage where like I want to move on to that yet. Maybe occasionally, I do that, but I think for now I still want to compete while I can, because all those things that as I get older I can try out the other options, but I can't compete that well anymore if I get older, right? So I want to do what I can first before moving on to the next stage.
All right, thank you for that answer. Wait, sorry, is my camera working? So we talked about. Wait, sorry, it's not working. So we talked about how it's actually helpful for the community, and you're thinking about what you're gonna do in the next 5 to 10 years. What about games like Tekken? I mean, how is that different from Street Fighter in terms of the community?
I'm not very sure about Tekken. I know Tekken 8 just came out. The thing about Tekken is, although it's a fighting game, it's a 3D fighting game rather than a 2D. And for the last 26 years of my life, I actually play mostly 2D fighting games. So it would take a lot more
Yeah.
effort for me to get into fighting games like Tekken since it's 3D. So my experience doesn't carry over at all. So I don't see myself going into it like competitively, but like more like for a casual that if I'm actually gonna try it.
That's a really good point because it would make a different strategy altogether if you have that 3D aspect going on as well. So yeah, we have another question. What does retirement look like for you as an esports athlete?
What is my what? My pardon?
Retirement. What does retirement look like for an esports athlete?
I feel like for different games, it's different. I guess for Dota, they just win one TI or championship and they retire. You know, and for fighting games, I felt like at this stage of fighting game, you don't get to retire that early because now may be your best chance since like prize money has just gone up to millions. But I feel like for fighting games you need more set of skills than just playing. You need to be able to do streaming, commentary. You need to be able to talk on the socially as well. Like there are more works to do for fighting game players because fighting game is takes we're gonna take some time to go all the way up. So that's where the retirement changes from time to time. I guess if you said 10 years ago, there's no way you can retire with fighting game. But right now, at least for fighting game, you do get a chance to retire, if you win a million next month or something. So it come at the different phase of the game, I guess.
So interesting. Yeah, you mentioned that that you want to be a commentator, correct? So is that like related to how there are shoutcasters, or are you speaking specifically like making commentaries on a gaming channel or something like that?
I wouldn't say that I want to be a commentator. I would say like if 10 years down the road after I retire from competitive gaming, if there's not a lot of options left, I guess commentary will be one I will go into. If not, I will just go into streaming.
Okay, really good point.
I just want to do things that are still related to games since that's where most of my experience comes from.
Yeah, for as long as it's still related to gaming. And the best part about streaming is that you can even communicate and like empower other people who want to do the same thing you're doing. So that's really cool. So speaking of, we want to ask what your advice is for aspiring professional esports players or even gaming content creators. Would you have any particular advice?
I think the best thing is you can only just work hard, no matter if you're a competitive gamer or a gaming content creator. There's certain luck that is involved when it comes to creating content as well as competing in the game. Of course you need the skills, there's a luck involved, but when you work hard, when opportunity comes, then you gotta grab it. It's not as clear and easy compared to other stuff, I guess, because you still don't know, especially for gaming content creator. It depends on the algorithm. There's so many different things that could have go viral, and there's no certain strategies that you can do it. So I guess you're just gonna be hardworking and wait for the opportunity, and you have to grab it when it comes. Like you must be able to see it. So that's probably my advice.
I really like that because I'm pretty sure a lot of content creators and professional gamers are hardworking, but you have to be able to see an opportunity or like identify if something's gonna be an opportunity, so you know which ones to grab and which ones are not actually opportunities. Maybe they're just distractions, right? So that's a really good point. Okay, cool. We have a few more. Oh, it's COFGC. Seo FGC, what would you do with $1 million?
Well, I feel like for my way of living standards, like I would just maybe buy a house or something, but I'll probably save it or invest it. Like there isn't much to really for me to think about. I don't really have a luxury kind of lifestyle, so I will still continue gaming and just lead a normal life, I guess.
A very practical gamer life. Okay, that's what he'll do with $1 million. Another question is, what's one underrated fighting game you think more people should play?
I think Grand Blue versus Fantasy is a really great game with a lot of nice mechanics. And I would say that if anyone want to give fighting game a try, it's not too difficult to play as well. And it's just difficult to master. So I guess that will be a good stepping stone game for people who want to go into fighting game. It's a pretty cool one. Or yeah, Street Fighter 6 is definitely one of them too.
All right. What about your expectations for esports in the future?
I don't think I'm in a position where I can give a great perception of the future of esports. But for the way I see it, esports is only going to grow even further because our generation or younger generations, everybody has a phone, everybody plays games, and this will eventually be something really common. Like in the future, you won't see any almost like 80-90% of the youngsters have played games before compared to the older generations, and I do really enjoy and I feel esports is going up because it is actually good for both males and female, where there's no disparity between both, and there's a lot of strategy. It really works your brain. So I do believe that will be the future for, yeah, and I hope so.
Yeah, that's a really nice thing. Because even if, like, we always say too much of anything is bad for you, the thing is, when you do it, like, properly, or, like, when you have someone who's mentoring you, like a coach, per se, or a team, like, it becomes really good for your brain and other skills. So it's just like other things like basketball, how basketball became such a huge thing as well nowadays. Like in the school where I teach, we even had an esports competition for schools, and it's so cute. So like this is new generation is so innovative in that sense. Yeah. We have another question. How or have Capcom developers ever asked you to improve the game? Like feedback, maybe?
Yeah, maybe I think you can just put your feedback on Twitter. I feel like they're actually actively looking at like social medias and stuff, and I don't they have a great team behind. They have a lot of great players, retired players that are managing. So I don't think they need advices from pro players, and I generally believe that pro players are the most biased one as well. So it may be terrible to take advice from pro players because they are just trying to give advice that are biased towards their own character or the way they really see it. So it's a double-edged sword. So it's gonna be really difficult. Like
I see. That's a really good point. I haven't. It didn't cross my mind that there could be some kind of bias. Right, right, right. It's a good point. So, the Singaporean life is not easy, says Travis. Is that true? It's not easy. Okay, we have another
Singapore
one.
lifestyle.
Do you have other plans over the next decade apart from playing professionally? I know this is kind of related to the question a while ago, but maybe something that isn't related to gaming. What do you have in mind?
I haven't really thought about that. I have been enjoying what I'm doing so far. And even though I would say that the passion is not as strong as where I first started, since it's over 10 over years, but I still think I have a lot of great passion and I want to probably create better content That's what I hope I could do in the future for gaming, since competing is really for me for over 10 plus years. I wish to do something a little different, but still the same kind of give better advices and tips for people who want to pursue this career.
Mm-hmm. That's really nice. You have a really good point. I mean, if you've been doing this for over 10 years, who wouldn't be burnt out or who wouldn't be as passionate when they first started out? But this is something that you dreamt of like a long time ago, and you're here and you're in that position to actually give advice. So that's really cool. Okay, we have a few more questions. Was there a bug in a game that you used to your advantage?
What's a
A
Pardon me? What's a what?
bug. Was there ever a bug in a game that you used to your advantage?
Actually, no, because any bug will just get banned straight away.
Yeah.
You just do during stream just to create content and have fun. But I don't ever think that you can use a bug just to gain an advantage in a tournament,
Mm.
especially in this era where everything is kind of strict.
Yeah, that's true. And there's like live streams the entire time, and lots of shoutcasters watching you. I don't think you could actually do that. Really good point. Okay. So yeah, that's a wrap. Thank you so much everyone for participating in this live stream with our special guest. Xian, thank you so much for sharing your advice as a Street Fighter champion and even for gaming content creators. So cool. So yeah, I hope you guys
Thank you.
learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you once
Magnolia,
again.
for having me. See
Yes.
you.
Thank you so much for your time. And for the last but not the least, could you invite your followers to follow and support you on Gank and give them a
Yes.
shout out?
Yes. Shout outs to, all my sponsors, thanks for having me, Magnolia, Gaming Gladiator, Gang, Secret Lab, and I really appreciate for all the support, So and all you guys fans that have been watching me, I hope you continue to support me, especially next month during Capcom Cup X. Please tune in, and I would love to see you guys.
All right. Good. Thank you so much. And we'll see you around next time. Make sure you subscribe for more interesting interviews with top content creators, champions, and more. We'll see you around. Bye.